И как бы ни старался у нас чего-то разрушить, он столкнется с многократно большими разрушениями у себя за это и пожалеет еще о том, что он пытается сделать у нас в стране. Но мы с вами, как это вот вы сейчас отметили, будем двигаться вперед, будем не только восстанавливать тот ущерб, который нам пытается кто-то наносить, но будем идти вперед еще большими темпами, вот как сейчас.
This is my video update on this Sunday afternoon, December the 22nd, coming to you from Limassol, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the US and the UK illegally bombing Yemen yesterday evening. I imagine this is in retaliation for the ballistic missile fired by Yemen into Tel Aviv. Some people claim this was a hypersonic missile. The Iron Dome could not stop it. But yesterday we had the US and the UK hitting Yemen. And we also had a friendly fire incident. At least that is what it is being reported as. A US fighter jet was shot down by a US guided missile from Douglas McGregor. United States FA-18 Super Hornet shot down by a US guided missile destroyer over the Red Sea. Yes, we shot down our own plane. If this doesn't put a cap on the worst presidency of modern history, I'm not sure what does. Both pilots were able to eject prior to impact. Remember when the collective West was mocking Russia when friendly fire every now and then, very rare, but it did happen, over a war zone, by the way, in Ukraine, over an active, very dangerous war zone. Every now and then, a Russian fighter jet would get shot down by friendly fire, and they would mock Russia. They would mock the Russian military. They're so incompetent. The Russian military is shooting down their own fighter jets. You know what? It happens. It happens, even to the United States of America. It does happen. Some people, some analysts, claim that the fighter jet may have been shot down by Yemen. And they're saying friendly fire to cover this up. I don't know. I'm going to go with the official line, which says that this fighter jet was shot down by friendly fire. So that was big news from yesterday. And let's now talk about the big story, which is an amazing revelation out of Romania. An amazing revelation out of Romania. It turns out that the Russians were not interfering in Romania's elections, which resulted, the claim was that Russia was meddling in Romania's elections, and this resulted in the cancellation of the second round of the Romanian elections, where Georgescu was set to win, way ahead in the polls, and Georgescu is a Romania First candidate, and he was against the war in Ukraine. And this freaked out the globalists, this freaked out the European Union, and they said that, the Romanian court said that Russia was using Russia was using Chinese-owned TikTok. You have to say Chinese-owned whenever you say TikTok. Those are the rules. You have to say Chinese-owned. Russia was using Chinese-owned TikTok to meddle in Romania's elections, and therefore the elections had to be canceled in order to save democracy. We have to save democracy by canceling the elections because Russia was manipulating Chinese-owned social network TikTok. Yeah, that was the claim that they made, and they canceled freaking elections, man. They canceled elections in Romania to save democracy. And it turns out that it wasn't Russia. No, it wasn't Russia. It was not Russia. It was the big major party, I believe the ruling party, PNL, that the National Liberal Party of Romania, PNL, that was using TikTok to, oh boy, to do all kinds of nasty, weird, strange stuff. I'm going to get into it. I am going to get into it, what the PNL was up to, or what many people believe the PNL was up to. This is according to snoop.ru, which did an investigation into this, and according to the Romanian tax authorities. So it looks like this story is legit. That's what it looks like. But where to begin? Where to begin? You know, I believe that Klaus Johannes, the president of Romania, when he said the other day that it is nearly impossible to prove Russian meddling in Romanian elections, I believe he knew this story was about to drop. I talked about this in a video update from 2 days ago from the Financial Times, which quoted Johannes as saying, look, Russia's meddling in our internal affairs, but it's nearly impossible to prove that Russia meddled in our elections. We know they're meddling. I'm telling you they're meddling, but we can't prove it. It's impossible to prove it. That's what the Financial Times quoted Johannes as saying. I think he knew this story was going to drop, and that's why he came out with that quote. This is coming from Politico. Report ties Romanian liberals to TikTok campaign that fueled pro-Russia candidate. A campaign from a governing center-right party may have been hijacked to benefit far-right candidate Călin Georgescu, snoop.ro report shows. Interesting title from Politico, huh? Report ties Romanian liberals to TikTok campaign. And then Politico says that a campaign from a governing center-right party. The party is the PNL. I'm not an expert in Romanian politics, but I did some reading on the PNL. The best way to describe the PNL would be to equate them to the CDU-CSU in Germany. I think that's a pretty good explanation as to the type of party the PNL is. They're very similar, in my opinion, the way it looks, very similar to the CDU-CSU, but they're a big party. They're a huge party. I believe they are, at the moment, the ruling party. And they were the ones that were using TikTok to meddle, to trick. I don't know how we're going to explain this. They were using TikTok for some very strange election stuff. And I'm going to, let me summarize the way I see it, and then I'm going to read you some analysis which gets into the detail of what was going on. But the way I look at it is that the PNL, they paid a social media marketing company called Kensington Consulting, or Kensington Social Media. They paid them, I believe, $1 million to run some TikTok campaigns. And one of the campaigns was a hashtag which was meant to prop up Georgescu in order to get the other competing parties, the voters of the other competing parties, to get them to gravitate towards Georgescu so that PNL would benefit from this and would be able to win the elections. On a side note, PNL's candidate ended up in 5th place during the elections. It's very similar. This is very similar to 2016 with Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party giving Trump exposure because they believed that if they could prop up Trump, then he would be a very easy candidate to beat. And so they wanted to put Trump on TV. They wanted to give him exposure. They thought he would be He would be easy to defeat if you had to run against him, and Hillary would just stroll right into the White House. She would walk into the White House. That's what this reminds me of. So I'm going to read you some analysis as I finish off this coffee. Not the best coffee, by the way. Anyway, let's start off with, let me sit down here, with Olga Bezova on X. Help, the Russians are coming. Romania first canceled the presidential election results due to Russian interference, and then declared that there was no interference. The Romanian tax service, ANAF, has established that the TikTok campaign of the winner of the canceled first round of the Romanian presidential elections, Călin Georgescu, was not paid for by Russians, as Romanian intelligence claimed, which was the formal reason for the cancellation of the first round results, but by the pro-European National Liberal Party of Romania. The tax service established that Georgescu's social media campaign was paid for by the National Liberals, whose goal was to attract votes away from their rivals, the Social Democrats. Whoops, it looks like the National Liberals messed up big time. Let's go to, one second, Arnaud Bertrand, who has an excellent explanation, along with Olga. They both have an excellent explanation as to what happened in Romania. Arnaud says, this is an absolutely bombshell. The story about the canceled elections in Romania is even far more sinister than previously thought. A new report from investigative outlet snoop.ro reveals that the TikTok campaign, which was cited in the declassified Romanian intelligence documents as evidence of foreign interference and used as grounds to cancel the presidential election, was actually paid for by the ruling National Liberal Party, the PNL, the very party that supported canceling the elections. According to the investigation, that's key, the very party that supported canceling the elections. According to the investigation, the campaign called hashtag Echilibru Verticilate, that the intelligence service claimed was identical to Russian operations in Ukraine, was organized by a marketing firm called Kensington Communication, hired by PNL, the ruling party, who paid Kensington over 1 million RON for it, about $210,000. My mistake, I said $1 million, $210,000. My bad. Kensington then used a platform called Fame Up to coordinate 130 influencers with specific scripts and messaging guidelines. This puts the declassified intelligence documents in an entirely new light. What they presented as evidence of foreign interference was actually a campaign paid for by the ruling party, the same party that then supported using these allegations of foreign interference to cancel an election they were losing. Even more bizarrely, confronted by journalists, Kensington Communication initially denied using the hashtag, but later admitted to creating the campaign for PNL, claiming it was meant to be called Ecile Bruzeriorizzate and was changed to Ecile Brusie Verticilate. I'm butchering these pronunciations, doesn't matter, without their knowledge. Yeah, right. This means that either the Romanian intelligence services didn't know this was a PNL-funded campaign when they used it as evidence to cancel the election, which raises huge questions about their competence, or they did know and didn't disclose it, which raises even bigger questions about their integrity. In any case, it seems to indicate that something extremely sinister happened in Romania. A ruling party used intelligence services to cancel an election based on foreign interference evidence that they themselves paid for. Let me read you that paragraph, that last paragraph again. In any case, it seems to indicate that something extremely sinister happened in Romania. A ruling party used intelligence services to cancel an election based on foreign interference evidence that they themselves paid for. Foreign interference evidence that they themselves paid for. Oh, man. Oh, man. So Kensington Communications was saying that this hashtag was misspelled, that this hashtag was hijacked and used against the PNL and in favor of Georgescu, but what it looks like happened was that PNL was with Kensington. It appears that they were using this hashtag campaign to take away voters from the competing parties by moving them towards Georgescu in order to clear the way for PNL. And then when all of this blew up in their face, they ran with Russian election interference. Man, oh man, oh man. This is bad. This is really, really bad. Unbelievable stuff, huh? So the big question is, did the intelligence services, did they know that this was a PNL funded campaign when they gave a document to Iohannis, to the president of Romania, saying that this was Russian interference? Did they actually know this was a PNL campaign, or a botched PNL social media campaign, or a deliberate PNL social media campaign? Whatever it was, botched, legit. The social media company messed up. They didn't mess up with the hashtag. I don't know. But the big question is, did the intel services, were they in the know, and were they covering up for PNL? And then you get to Iohannis. Did Iohannis know, the president of Romania, and was he covering up for PNL? And they canceled elections. So many questions. So many questions. Are we going to get an investigation? Are we? Are we going to get an investigation? Are we going to apologize to Russia? Are we going to apologize to Russia? Nope. No and no, I think is going to be the answer to both questions. No and no. Amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing. So that's what's going on in Romania. In Slovakia, FICO claims that Zelensky made him an offer that he refused. He made him an offer that he refused. So I've been talking about this row, this argument between Slovakia and Ukraine about gas transit via Ukraine to Slovakia, to the European Union, and the contract that Slovakia has with Gazprom for the gas to transit via Ukraine and go to Slovakia. They have this contract, but the contract between Gazprom and Ukraine ends at the end of the year in a couple of days. This contract ends. Ukraine is not going to renew the contract, and they're going to stop gas flowing, transiting Ukraine going to Europe. And Slovakia is saying this is ridiculous. Why should we be forced to pay 5 or 10 times more for LNG and put our energy security at risk when we have a contract for cheap Russian gas? It just has to transfer via Ukraine to get to us. And by the way, we have given so much money and so much support and so much of everything to Ukraine, and Ukraine makes money off of the gas transit. It's not that they're transiting this gas for free. They're making quite a good bit of money from transiting this gas. So Slovakia is saying, why should we suffer for this? Why should we suffer because Zelensky wants to cut off the gas, and effectively what Zelensky wants to do is he wants to stick it to Slovakia. That's what he wants to do. Let's be real. He's even willing to cut off money that Ukraine earns from gas transit in order to stick it to Slovakia. Not only Slovakia, to stick it to Hungary. I believe Serbia, if I'm not mistaken, may also be getting gas from the transit via Ukraine. So Zelensky wants to stick it to these European countries because these are European countries that have not been giving him all the support that he wants. That's what he claims. They've actually not voted for Ukraine to enter NATO, and they haven't supported Ukraine's entry into NATO. And Orban's been meeting with Putin, and Fico's been saying that there needs to be a ceasefire, and this has pissed off Zelensky and pissed off Ukraine. And so they're saying, you know what, we're not going to transit any gas to you guys anymore. And Fico is saying this is BS. This is BS. After everything that Europe and Slovakia has done for you and supported you, you now want to cut us off. And so we have a big argument going on right now between Slovakia and Ukraine. And according to Politico, well, let me read you what Politico is saying. Slovak PM accuses Zelensky of attempted bribery. Zelensky versus Fico. Over in Russia, Putin said a controversial deal that allows Central European nations to buy Moscow's gas via Ukraine would expire. Gabriel Gavin reports. Slovak PM Fico was among those pleading at the summit, the European summit, for its continuation. Zelensky lashed out at Slovakia, saying it's a bit shameful to talk about money because we are losing people. Fico later told reporters that Zelensky's proposals to him behind closed doors were absurd and suggested Ukraine was taking this liberty to damage an EU member's economy. They absolutely are taking this liberty to damage an EU member's economy. Absolutely. So Fico then held a press conference, and this is coming from Politico. Stunning claim. Fico said that after he told Zelensky that Slovakia could lose about 500 million in gas transit fees a year, the Ukrainian president asked me if I would then vote for NATO membership if he gave me 500 million of Russian assets. And of course, I said never. Politico Playbook reached out to Zelensky's press secretary for comment and to confirm whether the Ukrainian president actually made that offer. But we hadn't heard back at the time of publishing. Actually, they have responded to Politico right before I recorded this video. The Zelensky government said that Zelensky was taken out of context by Fico. That's what they claim. He was taken out of context when he made him this offer. I'm going to make you this. Hey, I'm going to make you this offer. I shouldn't say it like The Godfather. I should say it like Zelensky. I'm going to make you an offer. You can't refuse. What do you think, Badoliak? My Marlon Brando is good? I think I do a good Marlon Brando. Yeah, 500 million from Russian assets. You know what this tells me? Man, I'm telling you. They've been dipping into the Russian frozen assets. I sense it. I don't have any evidence. I have zero evidence of this. Zero. Absolutely zero. I'm just talking smack right now. I was going to say a bad word, but I'm talking smack right now. I have zero evidence of this, but something in my gut tells me that the globalists, the EU elite, they've been dipping into those 300 billion. So something tells me they've been dipping into that money. I don't know. I don't know. Probably not. I'm probably talking nonsense. What do I know? I'm just a guy with a phone walking around the beach, but in Limassol. But anyway, Zelensky says 500 million. I'll give you 500 million from the Russian frozen assets if you support me in NATO. And that makes up for the 500 million that you're losing from gas transit. Wow. And Fico said, no. He said no. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. If this is to be believed, then this is one of the stories of the year. No doubt about it. From the Russian assets, Zelensky says 500 million, allegedly, he told them 500 million from the Russian assets. Not his money, Russia's money. I'll give you 500 million from Russia's money. Allegedly, that's what he told Fico if you vote us into NATO. All of this is allegedly, but we have a video of Fico saying this. I can't confirm the English subtitles, obviously. I can't confirm the translation. But This doesn't look like it's any type of manipulation or any type of AI or anything like that. This story seems legit. At least if you believe FICO, this is what went down. Unbelievable. Anyway, let's keep on moving to the next story. Olaf Scholz lashed out at Duda. Walk on the wild side. Duda. Yeah, he lashed out at him during the EU summit. Man, this EU summit was off the hook, man. I was thinking that EU summits are kind of boring, but I kind of wish I was at this EU summit. It sounds crazy. It sounds like a lot of fun. So you got bribes, you got blackmails, you got scandals. Jeez. Romanian parties interfering in their very own elections. This EU summit sounds off the hook. Anyway, Olaf Scholz, he lashed out at Duda because Duda suggested taking the 271 billion worth of Moscow's assets to finance Ukraine. Yep, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz was exasperated when Polish President Andrzej Duda suggested using Russian frozen assets to fund Ukraine, a move that Berlin has long opposed, the Financial Times has reported. What did Olaf Scholz say? Oh, where is the quote? Here we go. The British newspaper, citing 3 people briefed on the discussions, reported that Scholz became irate and sharply rebuked Duda over his proposal. The German chancellor reportedly said, "You don't understand how this would affect the stability of our financial markets," raising his voice and startling those present. He further pointed out Poland's continued use of the zloty instead of the euro, adding, "You don't even use the euro." The zloty is the Polish currency. The pirate Scholz lays into Duda, man. I don't know. Duda's a big guy, Pirate Scholz. Pirate Scholz is a little guy. Duda's big. He's a big guy. I don't know if it's so wise to lash out at him. But man, the Pirate Scholz. Duda, you idiot. You don't even use the euro. Do you know what this would do to our financial markets? Duda, you idiot. I wish I was at that EU summit. Sounds like a lot of drama. Oh boy. So yeah, that's the reporting from the Financial Times. And now we make our way to the United States, and let's talk a bit more about that Wall Street Journal article that I talked about yesterday, which had the title, "How the White House Functioned with a Diminished Biden in Charge." So we have some more information, revelations from this Wall Street Journal article, which the WSJ claims that they interviewed 50 officials for this story, which says that for the 4 years, and even before, but for the 4 years that he was president, Biden had no idea what was going on, man. He was diminished. Very polite word being used by the Wall Street Journal. Very polite word. And we now have revelations, well, from this article, that Biden only held 9 cabinet meetings. Not in a year. You're thinking 9 cabinet meetings in a year? That doesn't sound like a lot. No. 9 cabinet meetings in his entire 4 years as president. 9. The Wall Street Journal is also reporting that in this article, they reported that Blinken was his favorite guy. Blinken was his man. Biden really trusted Blinken. He's known him for decades. That was his go-to guy. Sullivan as well. Sullivan pretty much acted as as a de facto decision maker. I've been saying this for a while now, haven't I? President Sullivan when it comes to foreign policy, Blinken in charge of all kinds of things as well. The Wall Street Journal is confirming this. It says that Janet Yellen, what's the word that they used? Janet Yellen was kept at, or had an arm's length relationship with Biden. An arm's length relationship. That's what they use, the words they use to describe Yellen and Biden. Austin rarely got meetings. Defense Secretary rarely got meetings with Biden, even though the Wall Street Journal says whenever Austin needed to get in touch with Biden, he could give him a call. But one-to-one meetings was very difficult. He could call him up. He could do a video chat. You know, this kind of explains. I think this explains the incident when Austin was in the hospital and no one knew what was going on. I think this explains it. Now we know what's going on. They rarely met each other. So that's why everyone was saying, "Where's Austin?" They rarely met in person. So when Austin disappeared, no one noticed because they would hardly meet. So this explains the Lloyd Austin hospitalization thing. Yeah. He was also warned about Afghanistan, the withdrawal from Afghanistan, by Representative Adam Smith of Washington. And Smith, he said in the Wall Street Journal article that he was concerned because he warned Biden that the withdrawal is not going to be smooth and there's some issues. But he said that Biden was just optimistic and was just kind of out of it in a way, just optimistic about the whole thing. No problem, no big deal. And Smith was warning him, this is going to be a catastrophe. So that was also an interesting revelation from the Wall Street Journal article. You know, the crazy part to all of this, what makes this even more crazy, is that the European Union, the entire collective West, the EU, UK, Canada, they followed this guy. They followed Biden and they followed his administration, this diminished administration, into this catastrophic proxy war with Russia. What does that tell you about the leaders of the collective West? When they have this diminished administration and they follow this diminished administration into a war with Russia. That's embarrassing. That's incompetent. 50 people were protecting Biden, according to the Wall Street Journal. 50 people knew. 50 people knew about his diminished state. Unbelievable. And they did nothing. They said nothing. So yeah, the EU followed this administration into this terrible, catastrophic proxy war with Russia. It reminds me of when I was a kid and my parents or my teachers would say, "Alex, would you jump off of a bridge if someone told you to?" You know that phrase, "Would you jump off of a bridge if he told you to or if she told you to?" No, of course you wouldn't. Well, when it comes to the collective West, if the United States told them to jump off of a bridge, they would jump off of a bridge, man. Even knowing that Biden's brain is mishmash, even knowing that this White House is a complete mess, they still jumped off of the bridge. Incredible. So that's the Wall Street Journal article. An incredible revelation. And let's talk a little bit about the Kazan attack. Because Maria Zakharova, she posted on social media that the Kazan attack was a retaliation against BRICS, and that's how it looks. This must have been a very well-planned attack. Probably weeks in advance this was planned, which would coincide with the BRICS summit in Kazan. This was not spur-of-the-moment decision to launch these drones into Russia, into Kazan. This must have been planned. The surveillance, the satellite, the targeting must have come from the collective West. And so it does look like, as Maria Zaharova put it, that this was some sort of message, not only to Russia, but to BRICS. They hit a high-rise building. I'm sure everyone's seen the images of the drone hitting a residential civilian high-rise building. No military targets, no military installations, facilities were targeted, nothing like that. It was just hitting Kazan and hitting residential areas, residential buildings. And according to Zaharova, this was a message to BRICS. She also said that Zelensky is not Volodymyr Zelensky. He's Osama bin Zelensky. Zelensky has become the head of a terrorist cell that kills civilians. His name is Osama bin Zelensky. Zelensky met with CIA Burns, Mr. Burns, the last meeting with Burns. Zelensky's last meeting with Burns. He posted on X a message on X saying how he enjoyed his cooperation with the CIA and with Burns. Let me see if I have it bookmarked. I might have it bookmarked here. But yeah, here we go. Burns was in Kiev the other day. Bill Burns visited Ukraine on his final trip as CIA director. Throughout this war, we've had many meetings, and I am deeply grateful for his assistance. Usually such meetings are not made public. All our meetings, whether in Ukraine or other European countries, the United States or other parts of the world, were held without official announcements. However, after his final visit, it is worth speaking openly. Bill, I wish you and your family all the best. May luck always be on your side. We don't disclose secrets. But we keep in touch. We will likely meet again, and we will surely see how this war ends with a real and lasting peace, a peace we are working toward together. So Burns meeting with Zelensky. They're not keeping the meeting secret, but I have a bad feeling about this. I have a bad feeling about this. Zelensky got his final orders from Burns. I don't know. Anyway, let's do some clown worlds. We're here at the Trilogy in Limassol. This was supposed to be three towers, but it turned out to be 2 towers. And I think this one is complete, and this one is about to be completed. So let's do some clown worlds. We'll wrap this video up. It's been a long video. The Hill, from The Hill, Donna Brazil put out an article with the title, "Biden is one of our greatest presidents. Smears won't tarnish his legacy," by Donna Brazil. The first paragraph says, America's greatest presidents were sometimes treated like punching bags in office, insulted and vilified by opponents. President Biden has endured the same undeserved treatment, but I expect that, like other great presidents, history will judge him more accurately. And the final paragraph of this article says, as Biden prepares to leave the White House, the American people owe him our thanks and gratitude for all he has achieved for us and our country. The whole article from Brazil is basically all the money that Biden spent, all the money that he spent, and all the wars that he got the U.S. and the collective West bogged down in, and she looks at all of this stuff as a big win for Biden. She frames it as a successful presidency, spending money you don't have and bogging the U.S. down in wars that they are losing, specifically the war in Ukraine. So that's the article from Brazil, Donna Brazil. She posted this article pretty much on the same day that the Wall Street Journal posted their article of a diminished Biden. Zelensky has appointed, what's the dude's name? Andrei Melnik, as the new envoy to the United Nations. So he's going to be in the United Nations, Melnik. He was in Brazil. He was the ambassador of Ukraine to Brazil, and now he's being moved to the United Nations. Remember Melnik? couple of years ago. He was the ambassador of Ukraine to Germany, and he called Olaf Scholz a liver sausage, right? A liver sausage, something, a wet liver sausage or something like that. Yeah, he insulted Olaf Scholz because, according to Melnick, he wasn't getting enough weapons from Germany. Eventually, Germany sent the weapons, but he was insulting Scholz. He also said F you to Musk, because Musk was posting about a ceasefire in Ukraine, trying to get to a peace in Ukraine and to stop the killing. And Melnick said F you to Elon Musk. And he also did that radio interview. That's what got him removed from ambassador to Germany, was that radio interview that he did where he praised Bandera. Big-time Bandera supporter. He was praising Bandera, gushing about Bandera. Everyone was outraged, and so they moved him to Brazil, far, far away, right, from Europe and from the controversy. Well, now they're moving him to the United Nations, right into the middle of everything. The Pushkin restaurant. The Pushkin restaurant in Limassol. And one more clown world. EU countries' foreign minister rages over Russian-speaking Ukrainian taxi driver. Latvia's top diplomat, Baiba Braze, was incensed by the man's inability to speak her native language. So the foreign minister of Latvia gets into a taxi. The taxi driver is speaking Russian. She gets upset. She contacts Bolt, which is like an Uber taxi service. It's called Bolt, B-O-L-T. And she messages Bolt, their customer support. We have the chat messages, by the way. And she's complaining to Bolt that she's in Latvia and you have a Russian-speaking taxi driver, and this is unacceptable. She said it's unacceptable. And Bolt comes back to her and they say, well, we're sorry about this. The taxi driver, unfortunately, doesn't speak Latvian, speaks Russian, and he's from Ukraine. He's a Ukrainian in Latvia, and the language that he speaks is Russian. Yeah, that's the foreign minister of one of the Baltic states. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. The Duran.locals.com. Dodo Pizza. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, like the awesome shirt that I'm wearing today, property of the Duran. Fantastic sweatshirt. You'll find that on our shop. We also have gift cards. And I'll see everybody tomorrow. Take care.